Greetings, 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 greetings. Good day, good day, good day to each and every one of you. Hope everybody is doing absolutely wonderful. Ask about me, I'm doing great. All right, giving thanks to the Great Spirit for such a beautiful day, the continuation of life. Want to give thanks to my ancestors, man. Always appreciate the fact that they allow me to be used or allow me to use my vessel, all right, as a tool, all right, to do their work, man. And I love it. I love it. So with that being said, allow me to say Halito, Osio, Mabrikwa, Sakpase, Shalom, Aloha, what the deal is, Wagwan. So let's do this. All right. We got a lot to go through, a lot to cover. Let me just greetings, greetings. All right, and welcome. What? Please do so here. Thank you. So we have a lot to discuss. Peace and love, everybody. All right. So the first few, maybe 20 people that's actually chiming in right now, I'm gonna, give you a little highlight. You know what I'm saying? Crush the legend. Want to give people some time just to, chime in. I know some of y'all probably in church right now, you know what I mean, checking out the video, but it's okay. We'll get into all that. Okay, we'll get into all that. All right. We have Rose Jones, Kiss White. We have Bertha Washington. Peace and love to all. Peace and love to all. All right. Once again, let's give some people some more time. Do me a favor, right? Take this video and go ahead and put it on your Facebook. Put the link on your Facebook, your different social platforms. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me put it on my own Facebook, okay? Because I'm gonna go in deep today, man. I'm gonna expose y'all to some information. You feel me? I'm gonna go in deep, 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 deep. All right. Some of this information, has been around for a minute. And it was only, only the esoteric society was privy to that kind of information. You know what I mean? And the regular people, the laymen, wasn't. All right. So I'm literally gonna break some things down to, bring some understanding as to, spirituality, religion, all that. We're gonna talk about all that today. Hopefully, I know it's gonna be a couple hours, so get ready to take some notes, all right? Let me just put that on my Facebook real quick. Give me a second here. Come on, come on, come on. I am live on YouTube now. Please join the build. Thank you. Okay, what's going on here now? Thank you. Put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up. All right, give me a second, guys. Once again, I'm just giving you guys some time to log in. Okay. Okay. Here we go. All right, cool. All right, so we back. What it is, family, what it is. All right, go ahead and share that information. Let's do this. All right, let's do this. So in today's build, as you can see the topic, Sunday school. All right, we're going to be talking about the whole concept of God. We're going to be talking about Jesus. We're going to be talking about Christ. We're going to be talking about creation. We're going to talk about literally, it's a lot to cover, but I'm going to start from the beginning, but not the beginning, because there was never a beginning. All right. But we're gonna start from the whole concept, all right, or the theory rather of the beginning. Okay. But what we have to, one thing, even before I get started, a lot of the information, especially in the Bible, okay, the Bible, science, whatever it is, a lot of these things is, once again, especially in the Bible, is man's own perception, all right, or their idea, or the theories of what or who, all right, whether you say the Most High or the universal source, whatever term that you use, whether it may be Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Christ, Zeus, Mithra, Heru. I mean, it doesn't matter what you use. Everything leads back to the same concept, all right, or the same source. So it's literally just different groups, all right, are creating different ideologies of their own way of perceiving what the Most High is, or what people say God, okay? Now, I hear a lot of us always use the term Most High. We're going to break that down as well, because, you know, when you say the Most High, essentially, what are you talking about? All right. So, like I said, man, you know, I'm going to go in, and some of the information you may have heard before, some of it, you know, you're going to hear it for the first time. I'm also going to be referencing, okay, the metaphysical Bible dictionary, because how is that? When you're in school, right? And your teacher, you know, you ask your teacher, what's the definition of a word? What do your teacher tell you? Your teacher tell you, well, go to a dictionary, right? So how is that when pastors are in church, the people don't have a what? They don't have a Bible dictionary. So if you don't have a Bible dictionary, therefore, you're literally just sitting around like sheep and allowing a man or a woman, whether it's maybe a pastor, all right, man or woman, to tell you what these things mean. But what is your own true perception? You know what I'm saying? What the foundation of your belief is based on what somebody else is telling you. Okay? So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up your mind some more. I'm going to show you today how powerful you are. I'm going to show you how great you are. Okay? I'm going to point all that out by showing you what's in you. And what's in you, all right, it's being held captive by first you and then by society. Okay? So at the end of the day, the whole purpose of this video is to show you and prove to you, man, how great you are. Okay? So we're gonna start off first with the whole concept of God. What is God? In my own, based on what, when people say God, I think people are talking about the universal creator. I think people are talking about the source to a certain extent. But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you some things today. And like I said, it may seem off the wall, but just please, just try to let the information resonate with your spirit, because I'm going to drop some heavy facts on you guys today, right? God is the creator, all right? The whole concept of God. God is the creator. But what people are getting confused is they think God is the universal all. I'm going to repeat that again. God is not the universal all. Gods were created. Gods were created. So obviously, if you were created, then that means you have had to have a creator. There have to be a source. So we're going to break that down today, and I'm going to make it make a lot of sense for you. All right. So when you're speaking of God, I always tell people, what are you speaking? What are you speaking of, and what or who are you referring to? When we say, a lot of us say, well, you know what? I'm not going to use God. We're going to use Most High. Even me, I say Great Spirit. All right. But what exactly are we talking about? So let us start from the source. Okay. The source is not God. I'm going to repeat myself. The source is not God. And I'm going to break that down. The source is actually intelligence. That's why in this realm, they have to emulate, all right, and try to recreate intelligence by calling it what? Artificial intelligence. Okay? So God is not the source, which is intelligence. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to break that down. Let's get into this, right? Because we got a lot of work to do. So I don't want to waste time. Let me share my screen. All right? Share my screen. And we're going to look at the etymology of intelligence. We're going to start from the beginning. Like I said, there's no beginning, but we're going to start from the beginning, if you get my drift, right? So let's look at intelligence, a noun. Late 14th century, what does it say? The highest faculty of the mind. Stop right there, okay? That is not God. The highest faculty of the mind. Now it says, capacity of comprehending general truths, faculty of understanding, comprehension. But we're going to stop right here. The highest faculty of the mind. Brothers and sisters, what you need to know is this, okay? We have faculties in our mind. Each and every one of us. We have faculties in our mind, and they're attributes, okay, that's pulled from intelligence. Okay? Intelligence just exists. Intelligence is something that you cannot explain, you cannot see, you cannot describe, but you know it is. That's intelligence. That is the source. So God is not intelligence. God possessed intelligence, but God is not intelligence, if you know what I mean. Okay? God was created from intelligence. I hope you pick where I'm going with this. Okay? So intelligence has always been. How can I see if I could simplify that? All right? Within intelligence, everything that's in creation came from intelligence. In other words, intelligence is just, how would I put it? It's just an existence, okay? Intelligence is an existence, all right, that have all the faculties and attributes that you need, okay, to create. So out of intelligence, okay, gods were created. Let me explain that again. Let us look at the example of the chicken and the egg. Which one came first? Some people may say, well, you know what? The chicken came first. Well, I'm going to ask you if the chicken came first. How come the chicken is coming from an egg? And if you say the egg came first, how is that the chicken got to lay the egg? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it seems a little tricky, but it's not. All we have to do is just really take our time, all right, and process the information. So intelligence has always been, and within intelligence, everything exists. Within intelligence, the ability to pull that out of intelligence, all right, is what you call the thought process. The thought process. So once again, intelligence is what? The highest faculty in the mind. And we're going to break down a few of those faculties, all right, just to, again, expound on what I'm talking about. So out of intelligence, within intelligence, okay, you have all these different attributes. You have all these different faculties. And within intelligence, the two most, all right, important attributes to create is what? The masculine and the feminine energy. Now, that's not all it takes. Because even if you have the masculine and the feminine energy, you still need everything else to create. So within intelligence, all right, which has always been, anytime you could explain your God, anytime you could describe your God, anytime you could give your God a color, anytime you could give your God a name, that is something that was created. Because how can you explain or describe something that's inexplainable, indescribable? How can you do that? So no one could explain intelligence. Intelligence is just what it is. But out of intelligence, okay, we were able to what? Manifest ourselves. That's where I'm going with this, okay? So when you pray, the question is, who are you praying to? What are you praying to? Because you were self-manifested. Then, well, Chief, what do you say? Am I my own God? Yes, you are your own God. It's like the chicken and the egg. You manifested yourself. It is that simple. Because out of intelligence, okay, out of intelligence, you were able to manifest as a God. I hope that makes sense so far. Let me come back to the feed and see if everybody's on point with that. Okay, so Once again, this is not about asking you guys to agree with me or not. This is not what this is about. I want to explain the process to you. All right. The sciences that the esoteric societies they have been holding from people. Okay. And they have given you physical gods to take away your power. When the truth of the matter is you were self-manifested. All right. But however, there of course have to be a process. All right. So you come from the portal of the woman, of course, the mother and the father. All right, they come together, they do what they do, and then they create this life, which is you. But at the ending of the day, what people don't realize is this: you are the one that chose your parents. Okay, your parents didn't choose you. You chose your parents. Everything. Okay, you already know what it is. You know what you had to come here to do. You know you had to come here, what type of job you had to get. You know you had to come here, and on June 26th of whatever year, you had to go to the hospital to get a surgery. You know you had to meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend at a certain date. You knew these things. The only thing is, once we came into this realm, we came into a realm of forgetfulness. And to answer your question, billionaire big club, is intelligence your DNA? No. Intelligence is not your DNA. However, your DNA has intelligence. I hope that makes sense. So your DNA is intelligent, but your DNA is not intelligence. Your DNA is an attribute of intelligence. In other words, it came from intelligence. And that's a great question. Okay? Your DNA is not intelligence. However, your DNA has intelligence. Okay? Fam, like seriously, man, they just shut me out. Yep, they pulled the plug. They pulled the plug. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I mean, literally shut me down. You know, StreamYard just cut off. All right. StreamYard just cut off. All right. And I had to log back all the way back in. But it's all right though. They can't stop this build. They can't stop it. All right. Yep. Yep. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? About to drop some information that's literally, okay, gonna take you on a whole different level. All right. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. That's another reason why they're hating, because they know the information that Chief got. You feel what I'm saying? But we back in business though. I'm here to elevate the minds of the people. All right. I'm about to let you know and prove to you that you are God. We're gonna get into this and exactly what it means. All right. So what we talking about? We're talking about intelligence, right? So intelligence, let me just break this down again. Intelligence is literally the source, right? It already exists. Intelligence has no beginning, it has no end. So, like I was saying, if you could describe what your God look like, what color your God is, then you are literally worshiping. You are literally worshiping something that was created. That's why we're not supposed to worship no gods. You see what I'm saying? Literally, that's the truth. Okay, so with that being said, how did we come to the point where we have people worshiping gods? All right, here's the thing. The further back you go into antiquity, okay, the further back you go into antiquity, they had these societies. Okay, you had these societies called the Esoteric Society, a group of people where they may have been politicians, businessmen, pastors, whatever. Okay, they had all these titles of nobility, and what it was, they knew of that information because they were able to tap into the higher mind, into the higher self. Okay, but the people, okay, the people themselves, they couldn't get the concept of them being gods. They couldn't get the concept of that. And I'm using allegories here when I speak of Jesus and Christ. Okay, so please, I'm speaking allegorically. Even in the Bible, all right, the allegorical book, Jesus said what? In Psalms and in John, ye are gods. So when you tell the people that they are gods, they don't know what it means. You feel what I'm saying? They don't know what it means. So the people had to do what? They had to create golden images. They had to create false gods because they just couldn't grasp the concept. What you mean that I'm a god? So they would rather be sheep. You feel me? But at the end of the day, the God that they are looking for is themselves. And they don't know that. So hopefully from this video today, all right, things will be able to make sense to you. All right. So out of intelligence, we manifested ourselves. Okay. And when I say ourselves, I'm talking about those who came before us. That's why everyone has what? An umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is what? The spiritual connection between the two worlds. And when you step over into that portal, the woman's portal, and you come into this new world, the umbilical cord is supposed to be dropped naturally. It is not supposed to be cut off. No one is supposed to cut you off from the spiritual realm. It has to happen naturally. Because this is a new realm. This is a new world that you are coming into. And before they cut it, you have to have enough time to learn how to breathe properly in this new third dimension, which is what we call Earth. That's why for the most part, many and millions, if not billions of people are breathing incorrectly. Because when you breathe, you're supposed to breathe from your root chakra and bring that breath up, okay, and let it out, okay? But we are not doing that. We are literally breathing from our throat chakras because the umbilical cord was cut too soon. All right, so just dropping a few sciences for you, okay? So the point I'm making is Once we manifested ourselves, then we literally we came here to have an experience. Okay, so everything within this, I heard someone say once that the universe is God. The universe is not God. Okay, the universe is the physical manifestation of intelligence. All right, because intelligence is not physical. You cannot see it. It is not physical. However, all right, the physical manifestation of that is the universe. And within the universe, we have everything that we need to create, to become creators. Now, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense and anybody want me to, expound on anything, please put it in the link below and let me know. But I truly want you to get this because I need you to know how great you are. Okay, how great you are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down a few things. So first, we spoke of intelligence and what intelligence is. So when we manifested here in the flesh, okay, you have what's called codes, genetic codes. Now see how and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about, right? To prove my point. Look at the government. Look at the government. What do the government do to establish laws and rules and ordinances? They write what? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me when the government or the state, when they write their ordinances, okay, and their laws, it is in the form of what? Can anybody tell me? Let me see if y'all on point. I know somebody's going to get it. Anybody? When the state, okay, or the legislative body, all right, whether it may be state or federal, when they write these codes, well, I just said it, codes, okay, codes, that's what it is. So everything is coded. So when we manifest from the spiritual realm, we came here already with codes, all right, codes, there you go, exactly. So within the spiritual realm, everything was already coded. And all these codes came from intelligence. Okay, from intelligence. So when we created ourselves, the first set of manifestation of man and woman, we had to get the codes from intelligence to what? Recreate ourselves. Let us make man and woman in our likeness and image. That was from the codes that came from the source, which is what's called intelligence. Those are the codes. You dig. Let us go look at the definition of genetic codes. Let me share my screen. Okay, so genetic codes, right? Come on, come on, come on. Genetic codes. The genetic code is what? A set of rules used by living cells to translate information encoded within the genetic material, DNA or mRNA sequences into proteins, right? So proteins is what? The building blocks of life, right? So literally all these codes, the genetic codes, okay, they are used by your cells. So what is, I'm going to prove it again. The government, what they do is they have codes. Everything that they do is a simulation of the understanding of the spiritual realm. So that's why you have intelligence, and they have to create artificial intelligence. So they literally have to replicate the concept of what they understand or understand from the spiritual realm. So the same codes that's in the spiritual realm, they are using those codes, which are called statutory codes. Okay, in the spiritual realm, it's called genetic codes, and in their system, it's called statutory codes. All right. When you violate one of the codes, what do? They take you and they put you in a what? In a cell. Because guess what? Genetic code is a set of rules. So when you break the rules, the code, what do? They take you and they put you in a cell. So once again, nothing, it's not a coincidence. Every word that they use, it has significance. It's literally a system that's set up to entrap you, the spiritual man and the spiritual woman. They need to trap you, but they have an understanding of that world. And that's what they're using. Let us go look at gene, the origin of gene. Gene, right? It speaks of what? Generation and race. So when you speak of Genesis, Genesis is not just about the beginning. No, Genesis is about generations and race. That's what it's about. So when you look at the Bible, it is telling you about a generation, a race of people. It doesn't necessarily mean all races of people or all generations. It is a group of people that's telling their story. That's what Genesis is about. I hope that makes sense. All right, let me see. I think I have another definition here for you guys. Statutory code. A statutory code is what? A subject-based arrangement of what? Laws. Laws. Laws is synonymous with what? Laws is synonymous with not gene. What am I looking at? Genetic code. Laws is synonymous with what? Rules. So it's the same thing. Okay, you have genetic code, and in their system, you have what's called statutory codes. It is the same thing. Their laws, their rules to govern the man or woman. And when you violate that, they put you in a cell. All right. Now, I hope that's making sense. I don't want to be all over the place. I just want to show you, okay, the parallel of the spiritual realm and the physical realm. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it again. All right. I'm going to prove my point again. All right. To show you that they're literally simulating the spiritual realm. Birth certificate, for instance, right? When you're born, your mother gives birth to a living child. But what they had to do, they had to create an artificial child. So that living child, you, me, we came from intelligence. However, they had to create another you from what? Artificial intelligence. I hope that's making sense. Okay? I hope that's making sense. In the spiritual realm, we came from the spiritual realm as a living baby, boy and girl. That's intelligence. We came from intelligence. They had to create an artificial intelligence to make you think it's you, to control you through what's called statutory codes. But the truth of the matter, you are supposed to be controlled by your genetic codes. That's the point I'm trying to make. We have our own laws and our own rules within us, which is called genetic codes. Is that making sense? Anybody? Is that making sense? I'm making sure. I want to make sure, I articulate that. You know what I'm saying? The way I'm, what I have in my mind. I want to make sure that it comes across, and I want to make sure it makes sense. All right. So that's why in the allegorical Bible, the Most High said that I put my laws in the hearts and minds of men, because we have our genetic codes, and that's our own rule. That's our own laws. That would be equivalent to what? Their statutory codes. So what they did was they took you, the real man and woman, and they created a fake man and woman that's governed by statutory codes. Opposed to saying, you know what, man, listen, you came from the creator. You have a right to govern yourself because you got your own codes. You did? You got your own codes. So I just wanted to clarify that. All right. Let that make sense. All right. Now that I hope that makes sense, you have to be aware that you were the one that came here and manifest yourself. Okay. But you are using your parents as a portal. All that is part of the process. All that is part of the process. The physical body is not you. The physical body is not you. The physical body is the host. That's the I am in you is the real you, not the physical body. So the I am in you is directly connected to intelligence. Okay? The I am in you is directly connected to the intelligence. It's always the yin and the yang. How about Chief? Can you prove it again? Yes, I'm going to prove it again. You have what's called consciousness and you have what's called subconsciousness. The subconscious mind is directly linked to the source, intelligence. And a lot of people are disconnected from that. It is something that you have to tap into. And when you tap into it, oh, it's amazing. You see things from a whole different perspective. You feel me? And that's some of the attributes of the subconscious mind. Now, when it comes to the conscious mind is just physical. It's just physical. The conscious mind could only process things within the physical realm. Only. The subconscious, the conscious mind cannot step into the spiritual realm. It can't. It's only a physical manifestation. However, the subconscious mind is what connects us. It's the umbilical cord to that intelligence. And a lot of people's umbilical cords were cut off too soon. It was cut off too soon for many reasons. Okay, well, at the hospital, whatever, but I'm talking about from a spiritual perspective. A lot of people are not able to tap into their subconscious mind to pull some of these things out of intelligence. But that comes from peace, serenity, meditation, learning to know yourself, know thyself. But when your life or when your being is filled with so much chaos, then it deters you. You can't tap into that. You can't. That's why they have to give you all the distractions. TV, every sports game, the media, the news, reality shows, they have to give you enough to distract the mind. And I'm talking about the conscious mind. Because anytime the conscious mind gets bored, meaning that there's no activities to keep the conscious mind distracted, then automatically you tap into the subconscious mind. So they want to prevent you from tapping into your subconscious mind, so they always have to keep the conscious mind distracted. I hope that's making sense so far. And our five senses, you have hearing, seeing, tasting, eating, and feeling. Those are the five physical senses that we have to perceive things in this world. And then you have the sixth sense, which is the third. People say the third eye. I call it the first eye. Okay, that is the sixth sense. But if you ask me, it's actually the first one, because everything first starts with the spiritual realm. So you have to be able to tap into those things and get away from all the distractions. So now we're going to talk about the concept of God. What is God and who is God? Based on what religion says, God is the creator, right? Yes, gods are creators, but gods are not the source. Gods are not intelligence, all right? Gods came from intelligence, all right? So again, hoping we are making sense. So God's created. We are gods and we create. That's what we do. Now, the whole concept of when we speak about Jesus and Christ and all these things, they are all allegories. That's all what we call, remember we spoke about the faculties? Once again, let us go look at intelligence, because we're about to get into the faculties of man, all right? So let's go look at intelligence one more time. Intelligence, the highest faculty of the mind. Is that simple? That's what intelligence is. The highest faculty of the mind. But because with so many distractions, you are not able, or we are not able to tap into the highest faculties of our minds. All right. Now I always hear people say, well, you know what? the 12 disciples talk about the 12 zodiac signs? Yes, only in the physical realm. But they have to step their game up. All right? They have to step their game up. And I'm going to show you and teach you what the 12 disciples mean in a metaphysical way. All right? I'm about to upgrade that information for you. Because if you're still talking about the 12 disciples as only the 12 zodiac signs, then you still got some more work to do. Because the 12 faculties is really 12 faculties that's within your mind. The disciples is within your mind. It's a faculty. And Jesus is the 13th faculty, okay, which sits at the center of the table and is supposed to make his other disciples follow him. You're supposed to master the other 12 faculties in your mind. And they have to become your disciples to work with you and for you. So the 12 disciples doesn't only relate to the 12 zodiac signs. That's only in a physical sense or a physical understanding. But now we're speaking, from a metaphysical standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint. You dig what I'm saying? So we're about to break that down. Now, what I'm going to do is I have what's called the metaphysical Bible. All right? The metaphysical Bible. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the metaphysical meaning of what Jesus is. And we're going to talk about that real quick. And I'm going to do some reading. All right? So bear with me and let's do this because we have a lot to go through. As you can see, I have some notes here. Okay? Well, not notes, just markers. And we're going to go over all the 12 disciples. But before we go into the disciples, we're going to talk about Jesus and Christ. All right? Then we're going to talk about the disciples because I want to show you, all right, that all this is within you. It has nothing to do with anything outside of you. It's all about you. What they did was they took that information that's within you and they put it outside of yourself. So you could start worshiping and idolizing things outside of you. And that's why in the allegorical Bible, it says what? Thou shalt not have no other gods but me. What is that saying? It is saying that you should have no other gods but yourself. So when I tell people I'm a god, people think, well, oh, he's cocky or he's egotistical. No, I just know who I am. It's that simple. The physical man is the I am in me is a god. But I know that I am in me could tap into the intelligence, into that source. And that's what I've been doing. Okay. And after I go through all this, then I will give you guys a few pointers that I use. Okay. So we'll talk about that. But we got a lot of work to do. Once again, for those of you who feel like, you want to show some love, by all means, feel free to do that. All right. I'm not passing a collection plate around. We ain't doing that. All right. I'm not the type of pastor, I'm saying, where, I'm pushing the Bentley and the congregation is on the bus. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. All right. So we all in it together. All right. And I'm just sharing love, with and for my people. So we're gonna do some reading. Okay. Let me see. So we're gonna go to Jesus, because I want you to know that Jesus is only a representation of the expressed man. Well, you know what? We're gonna go Christ first, because everything starts from the spiritual realm. Okay. So we're gonna go Christ. All right. Christ. Once again, this is the Metaphysical Bible dictionary. Okay. And I'm gonna read. If you look in here, you'll see I already have all my notes. That's what I do. I study a lot. Nothing but study. That's what I do. That's how I'm able to bring you that information. All right. So we're going to talk about Christ. Okay. We have Christ. Christ means anointed. All right. The anointed, the Messiah. That's all Christ means. It means the intelligence. Christ is intelligent, came from intelligence. No doubt. That's all we got to do is study. You know what I'm saying? We got to do that. One day you can do more about the Indian. I'm always talking about, Indian culture, so I talk about a plethora of things. But today we're in Sunday school. So, another time we'll definitely talk about a little bit about our culture and everything. But today we're going to talk. I want to take you guys from here to here. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to elevate your mind. I want to open up your mind to the endless possibilities, all right, and the unlimited abilities that we have. I want to show you that today. Okay, so we have Christ, anointed, the Messiah, a name or title applied. You hear that? A name or a title applied to Jesus of Nazareth. Matthew 16:16, Acts 17:3. All right. Of the Old Testament is the I am, or Christ of God invisible. I'm going to repeat that again. Christ is the I am, okay, or Christ of God invisible. That's Christ. That's why Jesus, the physical man, okay, Jesus, the physical man, had to die to ascend into the Christ, because the Christ is not a physical man. You feel what I'm saying? The Christ is God invisible. So we are talking about two different realms. Two different realms. But yet still, you could exist in the flesh and still step into that Christ, what they call Christ consciousness. You could. All right? The crucifixion is something within. It has nothing to do with anything external. Jesus didn't die on a literal cross. That is all, again, this is all allegory. That was something that happened within, on the inside. Okay? Now, let's proceed. The Messiah is the promise of the visible manifestation of the I am, or Christ. And Jesus Christ is the fulfillment in man of that original spiritual I am. So therefore, Jesus is the expression of Christ in the flesh. So each and every one represents, or each and every one of us, you see what I'm saying? We represent what's called Jesus in the flesh. But the Christ is what's called the invisible God in us. All right, you see what I'm saying? I mean, Mikey G13, I mean, that's what I just said. You know what I'm saying? Christ is the spiritual manifestation of God within us. So you're literally saying the same thing I'm saying, bro. You feel what I'm saying? So, but Jesus and Christ is not the same. Okay, Jesus and Christ is not the same. Jesus represents the expression of Christ in the flesh. You feel what I'm saying? Christ cannot be seen. It's invisible. Okay? Let us proceed. Where we at? Christ is the divine idea in man. Jesus is the name that represents an individual expression of the Christ idea. Just like I said. Okay? Christ is the divine idea in man. Jesus is the name that represents an individual expression of the Christ idea. Jesus Christ is the form of the name that is commonly applied to the man of Galilee, who demonstrated perfection. Christ Jesus is the idea that is being expressed by men as the result of their faith in the understanding of truth. Christ is the only begotten Son of God. Okay? What does that mean? It means that your higher self, the invisible, the I am in you, is the only begotten Son. And of course, when we speak of son, we are speaking of both man and woman. You dig what I'm saying? You're speaking of both man and woman. Or the one complete idea of perfection, man in divine mind. Okay? So your Christ is the perfect man in your mind. That's what Christ is. It's a state of enlightenment. It's a state of consciousness. It is the perfect man, all right, which is invisible in you. That's what Christ is. So the pastors, they know the deal, but they wouldn't tell you because they want you to think it's outside of yourself. Okay? They want you to think it's outside of yourself. We're going to read a little more. The cosmic man or grand man of the universe, often referred to by religious mystics, is Christ. Okay? And the Christ is the higher self of man. Christ is the higher self of man. So once again, what they have to do is, because you see, your subconscious mind is what connects you to that Christ. And then your conscious mind is what keeps you in that Jesus form, so to speak, in that man form. So they have to keep, once again, they have to keep the conscious mind distracted so that you won't tap into your subconscious mind, okay, to elevate yourself into the Christ. So they have to keep you distracted. That's what they have to do, because they don't want you to know that you're Christ. They don't want you to know that. Or at least you have the potential to ascend into that Christ consciousness. Okay, let me rephrase that. All right? So therefore, the cosmic man, or the grand man of the universe, often referred to by religious mystics, okay, is the Christ. And the Christ is the higher self of man. We all have Christ within us, but you have to tap into Christ. You got to get to know Christ, which is your higher self. Christ is not outside of you. But first, you have to carry a cross. Jesus, the physical man or woman, got to carry their cross. They have to be crucified in order for you to ascend into your Christ. Okay? But it's within you. Thus, a seemingly great mystery is reduced to simple numbers. We do not realize the nearness of this cosmic man, because we have not found our real selves. Okay, so we haven't gotten in touch. A lot of us haven't gotten in touch with our true self, so we haven't experienced Christ. You see what I'm saying? That's why the Bible said what? Know thyself. Know thyself, because from the moment you know yourself, you're able to tap into who you truly are, which is that Christ. You have to know yourself. Okay? Jesus Christ educated his followers to discern the real man. He taught that there is a power in man that gives him authority over the things of the world. So once you realize, right, that you are the true Christ, then you will know that you have the powers over everything in the world. But the powers in the world don't want you to know that you are the Christ, because they want all the power and they want to control you through their power. So what they are doing, they are actually exercising their Christ status. But they want to keep us as slaves in what's called the manger. They want to keep you as Jesus, the physical man. They know the deal, man. They know the truth. You know what I'm saying? They know the truth. All right? This principle of the higher self, the spiritual man, the Christ. If we would succeed, we must bring forth the principle. It gives dominion and mastery. So once you have tapped into your Christ consciousness, you become a master. Self-mastery. Okay? Spiritual perception reveals to us that we are not persons, but factors in the cosmic mind. Okay, we are just factors in the cosmic mind. That's why the government have to do what? They have to make you a person. But we are not persons. A person only dwells in the flesh. The physical body is a person. But the higher self, the I am, is not a person. The higher self is a cosmic man. The higher self is the invisible God. And when I say Jesus, we could say, you know, Yeshua, we could say, it doesn't matter what name you use. Okay, so it's all allegory. Okay, it's all allegory. I'm going to read that again. Spiritual perception reveals to us that we are not persons. So why is the government telling you that you're a person? They are not telling you that you're a person. They're telling you that your body is a person, but you think you are your body. And you claim to be that person, but your body is not you. The higher self in you will control your person. Your body is your person. And that's the property of your higher self. And nobody's supposed to control that. However, they got a lien on your person. They got a lien on your body because it was signed over to them. But when you truly know who you are, you know that your higher self owns your person. Your body is your person. So when I deal with them, I let them know that's my property. It's not yours. It's my property. You dig? You got to know the deal. All right? You got to know the deal, family. Let's proceed. Reveal yourself to yourself by affirming, I am the Christ, Son of the living God. If you're in the case of a woman, you say, daughter of the living God. You see, so those are some of my, tips and tricks into tapping into my higher self, because those are some of my affirmations every sunrise. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. Reveal yourself to yourself by affirming. It's an affirmation, but you have to reveal yourself to yourself. And one of the things I had to do was I had to become celibate for 3 years to get to know myself. Now, I'm not telling you that is your journey or that's what you should do, but that's what I did. Because I had to get to know me. I had to get to know the Christ in me. And I had to know that I was Christ. But I had to go through the persecution. I had to go through the crucifixion, and I had to ascend into that. But part of my everyday affirmations is what? Is to reveal myself to myself by what? Affirming, I am the Christ, Son of the living Great Spirit. So every sunrise, that's one of my affirmations, okay? So I'm just giving you guys a tip here, all right? But as the Spirit, Jesus Christ affirmed his true self, and the Father acknowledged him, all right? So the only way that the Great Spirit is going to acknowledge you is by not looking at yourself as the flesh, but looking at yourself as the equivalence, okay? As the Spirit, as one. You dig? That's what you have to do. So pastors and ministers are teaching their congregation, okay, when they go before the God or whatever you want to call it, they're going as the flesh. But no, you can't go as the flesh. The flesh cannot communicate with the Great Spirit because the flesh is not worthy. The flesh is not worthy. Once again, do not cast your pearls to swine by trying to get the flesh to communicate or go before the Great Spirit. What are you doing? You're literally asking the Great Spirit to cast pearls to swines. You can't do that. That's very disrespectful. Okay, so when you're going to a king or a queen, come on, you gotta put in your best gabs. You gotta put in your best robes, because you're stepping into royalty. But that's all within us. And I'm gonna give you another allegory. When the allegorical Jesus said what? My Father and I are one, but yet still my Father is greater than I am. That's an allegory to some people, okay, that look at it just from a black and white perspective. You may not know what it means. You may think, well, man, that's confusing. It's contradictory. In essence, it sounds contradictory, but it's not when you truly know the word. So I'm going to break that down to you. My Father and I are one, but my Father is greater than I am. What does that mean? It means that my Father and I, we are one in the Spirit. In that realm, in the Christ consciousness, we are one. However, my Father is greater than I am, meaning that in the flesh, the Father is greater than I am. The Father, the Mother, whatever you want to say, is greater than I am. But just know that when you are vibing in the Spirit, you are one. So there's nobody greater than you in the Spirit. So why you over here praying and giving your powers to something that actually is equivalent to you? So you're making yourself a slave. You did. And here's another allegory. Slaves, obey your earthly master as you would your God in heaven. People think that, how could you subscribe to a God that say, well, I'm going to make you a slave? Come on, man. Like, seriously. Think for yourself. That's an allegory. Slaves, obey your earthly master. First off, what is the slave? The slave is the body. Okay? What is the earthly master? Your earthly master is your higher self, as you would your God in heaven. But when you speak of the heavenly realm, the I am in you is equivalent, like Jesus said, my Father and I are one. So that's the master. But the body is the slave. And our ancestors, they understood that, they comprehend that perfectly. And I could give you an example. If you go look at the Sphinx, you'll see that the Sphinx has what? A human head and an animal body. That is a true depiction of what that verse means. Slave, obey your earthly master. The slave is the physical body, the lower self, the animal body. The animalistic man, that's the slave. And the mind, the master. You see what I'm saying? That is the master, man. So y'all got to know, family, you got to know how great you are. I'm going to show you how great you are, if you don't already know. Okay? So we cannot allow men and their institutions to enslave us. That's a disrespect. Okay? But if you don't know who you are, you will allow them to do that. Okay? Let us proceed. The reason for the limited comprehension and power of the ordinary man is found in the fact that he sees the world about him as under the material law, and agreeing with it, he makes himself part of it. So when you agree to their codes, you make yourself part of their world. But you don't, their codes shouldn't, you don't have to subject yourself to their codes, because the laws of the Great Spirit is already written within you, within your heart, within your mind. It's already encoded in you, and you don't need no other codes or ordinances to govern your life. But because people, they don't know, they haven't quite grasped the concept of who they are. So they have to keep people in their lower self. Once you start acting in your lower self, then what? You start violating the codes, even the codes within you. Because you're supposed to ascend, all right? And you are supposed to walk like a God, talk like a God, be a God. But when you violate those codes in you, there is a price to pay. You will be trapped within yourselves, but it have to manifest in the flesh. So when you violate those statutory codes, okay, which is synonymous, okay, to the genetic codes, what they do, they take you and they put you in a cell. All they're doing is mimicking the spiritual realm. That's all they are doing. The yin and the yang. So as above, so is below. So as within, so is without. But what religion and institutions are doing is they're teaching you about the without and not the within. So if you're always without, then that means you're always empty. Okay? Listen to what I just said. If you're always without, meaning that you're always outside of yourself, you will always be empty. You have to focus on the within. On the within. That's how you get fulfillment. Because now you get to talk to yourself. Now you get to communicate with yourself. Now you get to spend time with yourself. All right? Here we go. Christ is the cosmic man, the grand man of the universe, demonstrated, developed, brought out in every man. Okay? Now, I don't necessarily have to go through everything, but let me just read that last part right there, because the union. All right, so I'm gonna just stop here. All right, so that is Christ essentially. All right, Christ is the higher man, that invisible God in you, that invisible essence of the great spirit that's within you. But keep in mind, okay, it has intelligence, but it is not intelligence. In other words, intelligence was never created. Intelligence was never created. Okay? So Keep that in mind, okay? Intelligence has always been there. So if any man that tell you you could go to a point where intelligence was created, they don't know what they're talking about. Intelligence has always been. No beginning, the Alpha and the Omega. No, the beginning and the end. It never had a beginning, will never had an end. Omnipotent, omnipresent, all this, whatever, all these big words they use. Okay, but out of intelligence, right, came creation. But the first creation was what? Was God's, right? Or I would say man. There has never been a time that man never existed. I'm talking about the real man in you. The flesh is not the man. So man has always existed. Always existed. However, a physical man had to be created. All right? Let us just, again, put that in perspective. What we're going to do now, we're going to talk about, we spoke about Christ. Let's go and let's talk about Jesus now. All right? Just so you could get a full understanding of where we are going with this. All right, we're going to go to Jesus. And of course, we know, again, all this is allegory, okay? So whether some people, oh, well, Jesus wasn't his name, it was Yeshua. Same thing. It don't make a difference. It's just another name. All right? Okay. So now we talking about Jesus or Yeshua, some people might say, okay? Now, it says Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth, son of Mary. And according to the present day Christian, all right, belief, the savior of mankind. Now you see in the metaphysical Bible, it says what? According to the present day Christian belief. Opposed to what? Okay, the old Christian belief, Jesus wasn't the savior of mankind. So this is a new doctrine. Once again, when you read, you have to read with understanding. Never read it to finish. You got to read to start. Okay? So we just getting started. All right? So let's read again. Jesus of Nazareth, son of Mary, and according to the present day Christian belief, the savior of mankind, thou shalt call his name Jesus or Yeshua, right? For is he that shall save his people from sins. Okay? Now let's go to the metaphysical meaning. The real meaning, all right? The I am, the self, the directive, power, raised to divine understanding and power, the I am identity. You see what I'm saying? So the I am in you has its own identity, okay, that's manifested in the flesh, which was Jesus. That's all it is. Jesus is just an identity that represents the higher self, okay? It's expressed, so to speak. Jesus represents God's idea of man in expression. I'm not making this up. Jesus represents God's idea of man in expression. Okay? Christ is the implication. Jesus is the expression. Okay? The expression, the physical manifestation. Christ is the idea in the absolute. Christ is the idea in the absolute. Jesus Christ was the type man which includes all mental phases through which man passes in demonstrating life's problem. Okay, so once again, Jesus represents the physical man and all life's expression through his lifetime. That's what Jesus represents. Why isn't the pastor telling people that? Huh? Why is the pastors making people think that Jesus is the savior? When all Jesus was meant to be allegorically was an example to show the life of a man that could be born in Nazareth, okay? That could be born in a manger among animals, but still rise to become a Christ. That's all the allegory is in essence, okay? So let me read this again. Jesus Christ was the type man which includes all the mental phases through which man passes in demonstrating life's problems. So everything that we are going through is a phase, it's an experience. Whether you deem it good, bad, or indifference, it is just a phase, okay? So we find Jesus Christ passing through all the trials, temptations, and mental variations of each of us, yet without sin. That is, not falling under the domination of evil thoughts. So that's all sin is, evil thoughts. Okay? Sin wasn't going to eat the apple. No. Sin is just is an evil thought. So when Jesus went on the mount, okay, or Yeshua went on the mount, and the devil or the serpent, whoever came and said, hey, you know what? Look over, the yonder, right? If you jump to prove that you are God, I will give you all this. And what did Jesus say? Get thou behind me, Satan. Because he was speaking to his mind. It was a thought that crept in. Why do you think snakes, what do snakes do? Snakes, they crawl, they creep on their belly. Okay, it's a thought that, so all that represents is a thought that creeps, okay, that crawls on its belly. That's all it is. But you're supposed to be able to master those evil thoughts. When the adversary comes, which is Satan, that's all Satan means, adversary. That's all it is. Okay, Satan is not a man in a red outfit with with horns and a pitchfork. Nah, man. Okay, that is religious dogmas. Okay, that is religious dogmas. There is no sky daddy sitting down with the devil on one side and he on one side, and they're judging. Oh, God is saying, well, you know what? Oh, I want this one right here. The devil is saying, okay, you could take that 2, but I'm gonna take the next 3. You know what I'm saying? And no. That's what pastors want you to think. That's not true. Okay? The devil and the concept of the devil and God exist in you. And every day that you wake up, okay, you have the free will to manifest. Either you're going to manifest God or you manifest the devil. And a lot of people are manifesting the devil. Trust me, they know themselves. Okay? Now, the experiences of each individual are in the miniature, the experience of all. We put on the new man, that is, bring forth Jesus Christ in ourselves. So the Christ, the Christ in us is the new man that we have to bring forth. Okay? Jesus is the old man. The Christ is the new man. That's what we got to bring forth. Okay? First, we must put away the old man. See, man. How did I know that? Right? Maybe because I read it? No, because it makes sense to me. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, I've tapped into something. That's why I'm able to understand a lot of those things. Because I tapped into intelligence. All right? Of error and limitation through denial of his reality. The second step is to accept the truth of our being in faith. And then through understanding to begin diligently to live truth in thought, word, and deed. Okay? So first, you have to live true in your thoughts, then your words, then your deed. Okay? Because if your thoughts are not true, your words will not be true, because your words are spoken thoughts and your thoughts are unspoken words, and your deeds is the manifestation of the word. Okay? So that's how you truly get to know a man or a woman, by their deed. So first, your thought got to be pure. And then it has to be what? Followed by your words. And then it becomes the flesh, which is the deed. All right? The Christ is the man that God created, the perfect ideal man, and is the real self of all men. So the Christ is the real self in you. Once again, it's not the physical man. And they had to assimilate that. Okay, well, not assimilate, but they had to kind of recreate that. Once again, when you were born, your mother gave life to a real baby. All right? That's the Christ child. All right? But they had to create an artificial person, which represents what? The lower self, an artificial being. All they are doing, they're just mimicking the spiritual experience. That's all it is. Okay? Jesus Christ is the Christ is the Christ self brought forth into the perfect expression and manifestation. I'm going to read that again. Jesus Christ is this Christ self brought. Here we go. Self brought, self manifested. So you created yourself. Our mothers and fathers are just the tools, and I hate to put it that way. All right. Or let me rephrase that. Our mothers and fathers are just attributes, so to speak, that we had to use in order for us to self manifest. Okay? But you created yourself. I know it may be a little hard for people to, oh, well, Chief, that's blasphemy. No, it's not. They want you to be afraid of who you truly are. But I'm letting you know how great you are. Okay? Let's read it again. Jesus Christ is the Christ self brought forth into perfect expression and manifestation. So the perfect self in you had to manifest himself or herself into the flesh. You did. All right? So keep that in mind. Self-manifested. He is the type man, the prototype. Okay? We are exhorted to have this mind in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, which implies that all may demonstrate as he did. All right? That's why Jesus had to what? Jesus had to attain the mind of Christ, because that's the perfect man. Jesus wasn't perfect. Okay? He strived for perfection. Okay? And of course, he succeeded. To make this attainment requires careful training of the thoughts. The mind that was in Christ Jesus was the mind of God. So we know that we must be perfect even as the Father in heaven is perfect. So your thoughts always got to be perfect. It doesn't mean that the physical man is, but your thoughts should always be perfect. The Christ in you should always be perfect. So if you are there hurting people, destroying people, you know what I'm saying? You don't have Christ in you. That's impossible. Impossible. That's why you shall know them by their deeds. It's that simple. Okay? This seems an almost superhuman attainment, and so it is. Okay? It is, trust me, it is a tough journey to really step into the Christ, because you have to go through all the persecutions. All right? And even after they crucify you and they think you are dead, they have to take that spear and shove it to your side. And even after so, they have to take vinegar, all right, and assault the wounds. So stepping into that Christ consciousness in this kind of world, man, let me tell you something. Woo! You don't even know. Okay? The human has to be put away. You hear that? The human has to be put away, and the divine established in its place. How many of you are willing to put the human side away? How many of you are willing to do that? To ascend into your Christ? Man, we got work to do, family. We got work to do. Okay? The human is the transcendent and fallible. The human is transcendent and fallible. The divine is permanent and infallible. I'm going to read that again. The human is transcendent and fallible. Okay? It's capable of making mistakes. It's imperfect, right? And the divine is permanent and infallible. Perfection, permanent, immortal. So when you truly know who you are, once you're able to understand and free your mind from all mental form of slavery, then you'll realize that they cannot control you, because you know that you are perfect in that physical, in that spiritual realm. You know that you are actually immortal. You are permanent. So no matter what they do to the flesh, they cannot kill you. You feel me? And this is something that I know our ancient ancestors, they knew that. That's why they were fierce warriors. Because even if you took the flesh, they know that, man, the next 2 days, you could come back and reincarnate into another body. That's how great you are. You're going to learn today. All right? In the individual consciousness, The meaning of Jesus being born in Bethlehem of Judea is the principle of truth have laid hold of the intelligence. Once again, we are speaking of intelligence, right? Lay hold of the intelligence, substance of spirit. Bethlehem is the substance of the spirit. And through praise, praise is Judea, all right, have brought the Christ into manifestation. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to read that again. In the individual consciousness, the meaning of Jesus being born in Bethlehem of Judea is that the principles of truth have laid hold of what? The intelligence. Lay hold of what? The intelligence. Once again, let me share my screen real quick and go show you. Come on. Let us go look at what? Intelligence. All right? Intelligence. What does it say? The highest faculty of their mind, right? So that is what Jesus laid hold to, all right? The highest faculty in himself. And brothers and sisters, that's what we have to attain. That's where we got to go. That's what we have to try to do. Okay? Man, it takes a lot of work, but it's not impossible. Okay? Let's read some more. It is wise to protect the newborn spiritual consciousness from contact with what? Herod, the personal ego. So once again, all these people didn't exist. Herod is your personal ego, and your job is to protect the newborn which is that Christ child. Protect that newborn from Herod, the ego, because the ego will destroy the Christ in you. Okay? So it is all allegory. It is all within you, family. Herod is a faculty that's within you. I'm going to read that again. It is wise to protect the newborn spiritual consciousness, okay, from contact with Herod, the ego. Herod seeks the young child to destroy him, but under the guidance of the Spirit, no harm comes to the child. He is taken down into Egypt. What is Egypt? Egypt is down into the protected places of the what? The subconsciousness. That's all Egypt is. Egypt is the protected. I'm going to read that again. Egypt is what? Down into Egypt, which is the protected places of the subconsciousness. So Egypt is actually in the subconscious mind. So when Herod, the ego, is trying to attack the Christ child, you have to be able to, when the spirit will rise, right, and pull that child into Egypt to be protected. Because Egypt is what? What we said here, Egypt is into Egypt where the protected places of the subconsciousness. That's what Egypt is. You feel me? All right, let's read some more. To remain until the personal ego destroys itself. So the personal ego could destroy itself. So when the ego is Herod is trying to destroy that Christ child, you pull that child down into Egypt, all right, where that child is safe until the ego destroys itself. Okay? Then the Christ child is free to come forth and be expressed. Okay? Jesus is the temple at the age of 12 years. Jesus in the temple represents, at the age of 12 years, represents the growing consciousness within us that we are sons of the Great Spirit. We are sons and daughters of the Great Spirit. All right? Jesus, or Yeshua, going about all the cities and villages, teaching, preaching, and healing, represents the I am in its universal capacity as a teacher, a harmonizer of its own mental and bodily conditions. The 12 sent forth by Jesus, all right, which is the disciples, what? It typified the 12 faculties of the mind in every man functioning under the direction of the I am. So your 12 faculties that's in your mind, which is the disciples, you have to be able to control them. Okay, I'm going to read that again. The 12 sent forth by Jesus in Matthew 10:5 typify the 12 faculties of the mind in every man functioning under the direction of the I am. So They are your slaves, your disciples. They're supposed to function under the direction of your higher self. Okay? Now, the temptation of Jesus, Matthew 4, 1 to 11, took place within himself. Once again, it was within himself. All right? The place of overcoming is within the consciousness of man. When we follow Yeshua or Jesus, we rise above the demands of the flesh and sense world. All right. So, I mean, it's a lot of reading, breaking down the whole concept of when they use Jesus in every verse. So we're not going to go through all of it. I just wanted to give you a concept of what Jesus represents and what Christ is and what Christ represents. Now we're going to talk about the 12 faculties, which are actually the disciples. So we're going to break that down. All right. We're going to break that down. So the first one we're going to talk about is Andrew. Remember, all right, yes, the 12 disciples symbolizes as well the 12 zodiacs, but we are speaking from a physical perspective. Okay? But now we are stepping into a higher realm of understanding. Okay? And now we are going to talk about the 12 disciples, the 12 faculties in man. And when I say man, I'm talking about woman and man. That represents man. All right? So we're talking about the 12 faculties in man, and we all have them. Okay, remember, it was within you first before it became without. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. All right, so we have Andrew, a disciple of Jesus Christ and the brother of Simon Peter. The metaphysical meaning of Andrew: the strength of the mind, a strong man, manly, that is rejoiced greatly when it finds the inexhaustible source of all strength and exclaims, "We have found the Messiah." John 1, chapter 1, verse 41. Andrew symbolizes the strength, while Peter symbolizes the faith capacity of the mind. When strength finds faith and they are brothers consciously in the mind, a bond of unity is established that carries one along, even though one may encounter most adverse experiences. So once again, Andrew, that faculty, that disciple, signifies or represents strength. All right. So from this, one of the lessons that I want you to learn, all right, from this message here today, is to teach you how to, master yourself, master your 12 faculties, which are your disciples, because you could call on them. So Andrew represents the strength. That's one of your faculties. That's one of your disciples. Okay? All right, I'm glad you found the PDF. That's what's up. All right? Now we're going to go to Bartholomew. Bartholomew. All right? Bartholomew. One of the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ. Metaphysical meaning of that: the faculty of imagination. He is called Nathaniel in the first chapter of John, where Jesus saw him under the fig tree. The inference here is that Jesus discerned Nathaniel's presence before the latter came into visibility. All right, so basically he's the faculty of imagination. Okay, so whenever you step into imagining things, you're literally pulling that disciple, what we call Bartholomew, all right? Or, I always butcher the names, right? Bartholomew, all right? So that's what you're doing. So we spoke of Andrew, which is strength, all right? Strength. And now we are talking about Bartholomew, all right, which is imagination, okay? Let us go to the next one. I think we did, I could take that off. We did Andrew. All right. We're going to go to the next one. All right. So I did Christ. Okay. I did that. We're going to go to James. All right. Now we are talking about the disciples. All right. We're talking about James, the son of Zebedee. This James, I think they had two James. All right. They had the son of Zebedee and they had the son of Alphaeus. So we're going to speak about both of them, all right? The son of Zebedee. This James was a disciple of Jesus Christ and a brother of John. And that was, you could find that in Matthew 4:21. B. James, the son of Alphaeus, that's the other John, was also a disciple of Jesus. To distinguish him from the other James, he is called James the Less. And that's in Matthew 10:3. Mark 15, verse 40, mention is made of James the Lord's brother. He was one of the apostles, and some think him to be the same person as James the Less. Now let us look at the metaphysical meaning. All right. James, the son of Zebedee, is that disciple of Jesus Christ who represents the faculty of judgment in individual consciousness. Okay. So when you speak, so we're speaking of Andrew, which is strength, and then we speak of Bartholomew. Okay, we are talking about imagination, right? And now we are talking here of James of Zebedee. We are talking about judgment. All right, judgment in the individual consciousness. So therefore, we know that we all have that within ourselves. We are judging ourselves. So the disciple or the faculty in you that's responsible for judging yourself, your consciousness, is James of Zebedee. So whenever you do something and you start judging yourself on that, that is that faculty, that is that disciple that you are accessing. All right. So I'm just breaking a few things down for you and giving you the metaphysical meaning of all this. Let you know it's all allegory. Okay, it's all allegory. There was no Jesus or Yeshua walking around with 12 disciples. That didn't happen. Okay, all that stuff is within you. All right, let's read that again. James, the son of Zebedee, is that disciple of Jesus, who represents the faculty of judgment in individual consciousness. In the body, this faculty has essential seat of activity in the lower part of the nerve center called the solar plexus. All right, so that's where that activity takes place, within your solar plexus. All right, that judgment. That's why when you do certain things, you feel things in your gut. You see what I'm saying? You get a little nervous. That's where that activity takes place. All right. We also call the faculty justice. All right. Discrimination. It is that quality in us which carefully weighs a question and draws a conclusion. The prevailing tendency of judgment is toward caution, fearfulness, criticism, and condemnation when it draws its conclusion from the effect sides of existence. We should therefore faithfully affirm the spiritual aspect of the faculty and always seek the guidance and good judgment of the spiritual light and understanding. James, the son of Alphaeus, which is the other James. All right. Once again, it's a metaphysical, allegorical meaning. The tribe, yes, in real, you're absolutely right, Jermaine. All right, in real, it didn't exist. Okay, it wasn't real, but it's within us. Within us, it's real. Okay, so we have to know the difference. Okay, within it's real. Without, it's an illusion. Okay, it's just a fairy tale. It's all within ourselves. All right. James of Alphaeus signifies the faculty of order. The location of this faculty in the body is the navel. So you see the two Jameses, they work together. One deals with the solar plex and one deals with the navel chakra. That's James of Alphaeus, all right? And James of Alphaeus deals with order, all right? With order. Keep that in mind, okay? So where we at now? James, okay, we did that. Let us go to the next one. We're going to go to John, okay? John, the Baptist, all right, son of Zacharias, the priest, and his wife Elizabeth, and the forerunner of Jesus Christ. a disciple of Jesus Christ, brother of James, and son of Zebedee. John, Mark, Acts 12:12. John is a contradiction of Jonathan and Johanan. The metaphysical meaning of that, all right? The metaphysical meaning of John. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus Christ. He signifies a high intellectual perception of truth, but one not yet quickened of spirit. John represents that attitude of mind in which we are zealous for the rule of spirit. This attitude is not spiritual, but a perception of spiritual possibilities and activity in making conditions in which spirit may rule. This John the Baptist perception of truth leads us to strive with evil as a reality, not having discerned the truth about its transitory character. John the Baptist may also be said to be that innate principle in us which ever seeks to do right. Its origin cannot be located. It comes out of the wilderness. It is crude. It is like a voice in the wilderness, crying for the right way. The whole human family is naturally true and honest, and this rugged reformer is a child of nature. Culture does not make people honest, nor bring out their natural virtues. The inner soul consciousness that draws its nourishment from nature's storehouse opens the way for the advent of the Spirit. That which the baptism of John signifies is brought about by a process metaphysically known as denial. The baptism symbolizes the getting rid of the limited thoughts that encumber and darken the understanding. It is found that to say mentally, I deny the belief in the reality of matter and material condition, causes the aggregation of thoughts to scatter. This is a mental letting go that has to be applied to all departments of the mind. All right? But John is a whole list of things that they're breaking down, on John. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I know one of the sisters, I think it's a sister, she found a PDF. So I'll see if I can look for the PDF for the Metaphysical Bible, and I'll put it in the link of the video so you guys could, again, do your own reading, do your own, reference. Hey, peace and love, Crown. How you doing, brother? All right, so you could know. So the next one we're going to go is Judas. All right, Judas, the next disciple. All right, Judas, the disciple of Jesus Christ, who betrayed the master and afterward went and hanged himself. All right, John, and they have the verses where Judas is mentioned: John 8:25, Matthew 27:5, Acts 1:18. There were others by the name of Judas also, Acts 5:37, 9:11, and 15:22. Now here goes the metaphysical meaning of Judas. Judas Iscariot. Iscariot is his last name. The custodian of life. This Judas represents the unredeemed life forces. He also typifies that in humanity which, though it has caught the higher vision of life, still resorts to underhanded methods in order to meet the obligations. All right. So basically, they're saying in layman's terms that Judas will do anything underhandedly to meet life obligations. All right. So that's what they're saying. Judas carried the money bag and betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. The first step in our redeeming the Judas faculty is to assume a fearless attitude of mind, affirming our unity with the spirit of purity. When we do this, the Great Spirit answers. Well, they didn't say Great Spirit, they say Lord, but I'm saying Great Spirit. Thou hast said, and the redeeming, uplifting, transforming or transmuting forces are set into operation. When the Judas faculty reaches the spiritual standard of life, it is known as Judah, whose office in praise and thanksgiving. Praise and thanksgiving call into activity greater expressions of spiritual substances and open large avenues through which we may receive spiritual life. Praise radiates and gives glory to the latent powers of man. Judas also symbolizes desire, appropriation, inquisitiveness. All right, is a legitimate faculty of the mind, but covetousness is the Judas. When acquisitiveness acts within the law, it builds up the conscience. Exercise in its native realm, the free essence of being. It draws to us supplies of the universe, and through it we enter in the permanent possessions. But when it oversteps the law, it is a destroyer. Judas was the treasurer of the disciples of Jesus, but he became covetous. He had a devil, and that was expressed in John 6, 70 and 71. And his sin brought tragedy. All right. And we find among our disciples or faculty this one who the tendency is such that through it we all brought into contamination and suffering. It is known from the first. It is Judas' self-appropriation, while in its highest office it is Judah. Spiritual appropriation through prayer and praise, yet introverted in human consciousness, it becomes Judas. It is through the exercise of this faculty that suffering and crucifixion are brought about. It is the faculty that draws us the substance of things, while in its essence it is good. Yet, if one appropriates it in its personal sense, good were it for that man if he had not been born. But essentially, so Judas is that faculty in us, right? That does things underhandedly. All right, that's basically what it is. But Judas is they're saying that Judas is a good trait in us, but we have to be able to control Judas. All right, or else Judas is going to sell you out. All right, so essentially that is what he's saying, right? In our present state, however, Judas could not be excluded from the 12. He carries the bag. He is the treasurer of our system, a thief also. So even Judas is the one that carries the treasures within our body. So here you see, here's the irony in this, right? Judas carries the bag, the treasure, the silver pieces, but yet still Judas is also a thief. So what does that mean? It means that if you cannot trust yourself, you see what I'm saying? Think about what I'm saying. Think about the allegorical implications of what I'm talking about. We all have a Judas in us. All right. Now we have to be able to trust Judas so much because Judas is the one that carries the treasure, the bag. But yet still we know Judas is a thief. So within yourself, are you able to trust Judas, or are you going to allow yourself to steal that bag, to betray you? Man, this stuff is deep. Man, this is deep. It's all good, brother Kionis. All right. Think about that, right? Where I just read that at. Let me see. No. All right. So in our present state, however, Judas could not be excluded from the 12. Judas could not be excluded from the 12 because we all have that faculty in us, right? He carries the bag. You know what the bag is, right? The money. He is the treasurer. Ain't that something? The thief is the treasurer. Man, you got to be a master of self. You see what I'm saying? Man, I'm telling you, man. This is some powerful stuff. All right? Of our system, a thief. He is selfish, proud, ambitious, tyrannical, but he cannot be spared. You see what I'm saying? But he cannot be spared. So even if you are trusting Judas, with the bag, the money, he's the treasurer, you know he's a thief, right? But you cannot exclude him because he's part of you. He's part of you, right? And Judas, he's selfish, he's proud, he's ambitious, he's a tyrant, right? But he cannot be spared. So whenever Judas does what he does, if you are not able to allow Judas to hang himself in you, then you got some problems. That means you haven't mastered your 12 faculties. That means you haven't mastered your disciples. You did. All right? His faults must be overcome. They must be pointed out fearlessly. It is I, thou hast said. Then the right relation is established by giving up absolutely the life and the substance that we have called our own. Take, eat. This is my body. Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood. Well, all that stuff is an allegory too, all right? It's all allegory, okay? Just so y'all know, all right? Let go of the idea that you can personally possess even the life and the substance of your organism. They are of the universal and must be given for the remission of sins. When this place of absolute renunciation of all is attained, there rushes into consciousness a new power. The fruit of the vine of infinite life is drunk anew in every faculty in my Father's kingdom. All right. In John 12:4-6, Judas Iscariot sense consciousness is the incarnated selfishness of his every thought is built up personally. When Mary represents divine love, okay? So when Mary, divine love, pours out her precious substance and diffuses its essence through what the man, Judas, protests and asks why it was not sold, that the proceeds might be given to the poor. This consciousness believes in the poverty and has no understanding of the true law of relief. All that comes into consciousness is selfishness appropriated and dissipated by this thief. Yet he produces nothing. He is the enigma of existence, and in him is wrapped the mystery of individuality. Jesus or Yeshua, or Jesus / Yeshua, all right, knew that through this department of his being, he would be betrayed. All right. So you have to know within yourself that you will always betray yourself, because we all have that Judas in us. You feel me? So it's inevitable. At some point, you are going to betray yourself, no matter how hard you try, because you are trusting a thief with the treasure. You made a thief the treasurer, the one who carries the bag. And you know he's a thief. You know he's selfish. You know he's a tyrant. So you are going to betray yourself. Okay? All right. Sense consciousness betrays man every day. Yet it would be unwise wholly to destroy it before its time, because at its foundation it is good. So you see, in the foundation of Judas is good. So now you have to be in tune with yourself not to destroy Judas before your time. I mean, you see how self-mastery is a lot of work? Even if we know Judas will betray us, and we know Judas is a thief, right? Judas is selfish. Judas needs to be destroyed. He have to hang himself, but in his basic foundation, he's good. So you have to make sure that you don't destroy him before his time. Man, that is deep. It has simply gone wrong. It has a devil. Judas is transformed and redeemed when all pertaining to personality is surrendered and the substance of divine love is poured into consciousness. I'm going to read that again. However, you could transform Judas. Judas can be transformed, but here how? Okay? Judas is transformed and redeemed when all pertaining to personality is surrendered and the substance of divine love is poured into consciousness. So when you flood your conscious mind with love, then you could redeem Judas. Until then, Judas will always be a potential betrayer. That's why a lot of our people, or people in general, they do what they do because they have the Judas in them. You see, they haven't overwhelmed or overflowed or overpoured love into their conscious mind to redeem the Judas in them. You see what I'm saying? So when people do certain things, all this is to show you how to read people, know where they're at in their lives. You feel me? Know how they're operating. You did. Man is continually enriched as he gives up the things of sense and consecrates himself to purity of purpose. Love is the faculty through which eternal life is demonstrated. Okay? If you are not loving, you cannot exert eternal life. If you are not loving, you cannot demonstrate eternal life. It's impossible. It's impossible. So how can you hate your brother and expect to have eternal life? How can you hate your sister and expect to have eternal life? It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Okay? Love is the faculty, because love is also a faculty, right? Through which eternal life is demonstrated. Love overcomes all selfishness and transforms the sense man into his pure original state. It is the only way to get into your pure original state. So when people walking around talking about, oh, I'm not religious, I'm conscious, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. Shut the hell up. What you know about spirituality? You don't have no love in your heart. So what do you know about spirituality? A bunch of hypocrites, man. I'm telling you, for real, for real. That's why you see, I get it. I get it. And that's why I move the way that I move. Okay? I'm on a mission. I'm on a journey. You did. All right? I'm going to read that again. Let's read this again. All right? I'm going to read this again. Love overcomes all selfishness and transforms the sense man into his pure original state. You could never step into your Christ consciousness and not love. You could never step into your Christ consciousness and hate. It's impossible. That's why it's easier for a camel to go through the head of a needle than for a man to enter into the kingdom of the Great Spirit. I'm going to repeat myself, okay? It is easier for a camel. You see now the Bible is making sense because it's all allegory. Okay? No. Here's something. I'm going to break something down to you, Jermaine. Energy cannot be destroyed, but guess what? Energy could be trapped and contained. You see, people are getting it twisted. If your energy is not right, all right? If your energy is not right, and every time you reincarnate, you putting out bad energy out there, your energy could be trapped and contained, and you could never manifest into anything again. Okay? That's your permanent hell. So because energy cannot be destroyed, it doesn't mean that it cannot be contained. Like I said, they are actually simulating or emulating the spiritual realm. Aren't they all energy? If you are there doing things you're not supposed to do, what they do? They put you in jail, right? That means they're containing your energy. It's the same thing with the spiritual realm, fam. So as above, so is below. If your spirit is constantly destroying, if your spirit or your energy is constantly hating, guess what? Once your spirit leave this body, your spirit could be trapped. It could be trapped. And you will never get to reincarnate and have any kind of physical experience again. Keep that in mind. All right? The quickening of life of the spirit anoints the whole body and resurrects it into newness of life and substance, thus beginning the new creature in Christ Jesus. All right, so just wanted to break Judas down. I had to read Judas to the fullest extent. All right, now we're gonna do Matthew. Okay, we got just a couple more to go. We're making some progress. Okay, Matthew is the tax collector. All right, the tax collector who became one of the disciples of Jesus, or Yeshua, and the writer of the Gospel of Matthew. All right, he is called Levi, the son of Alphaeus, in Mark 2:14. Now here goes the metaphysical meaning of Matthew. Matthew is the disciple of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, who represents the will faculty in man. The will faculty in man. In the body, this faculty is located in the forehead. All right? The will faculty in man is located where? In the forehead. I wonder what they're talking about. It is the regeneration. It is the regeneration. Man controls, directs, teaches, and disciplines the faculties of his mind. Guess what they're talking about? To do this, he must, in a measure, withdraw from the mercenary occupations and material ambitions that have absorbed his time and attention. Levi, afterward called Matthew, willingly gave up his money, getting and followed Jesus. The disciples of Jesus, or Yeshua, left all and followed him, giving wholly unto the Great Spirit. Peter was afraid that he made a mistake, and he received this assurance from Jesus, or Yeshua. Verily I say unto you, there is no man that have left house, or brethren, or sisters, or mother, or father, or children, or lands for my sake and for the gospel's sake, but he shall receive 100-fold now in the time, house and brethren and sistren and mothers and children and lands. This is a promise that is always fulfilled where there is a wholehearted surrender of the old life and a full absorption into the new. All right. No one hears the devoted worker express disappointment or regret over anything that he has forsaken in the worldly life. On the contrary, there is rejoicing as each human link is severed, because the new relation in Christ is deeper and stronger than the human relation, and because love is increased and real possessions are multiplied. The will always enters into man's decisions. That is Matthew. Matthew is the will. Okay. The will makes the final choice to give up all and follow Jesus. You see, so your will. That's why we all have free will. We all have free will. All right, and that will is that faculty called Matthew. That's a disciple. It's within you. Okay, the will always enters into man's decisions. The will makes the final choice to give up and follow. So the will is what makes the decision whether you're gonna give up or don't give up, or follow or don't follow, right? But that's up to you. That will is within you. This lesson is on the surrendering of the old ideas and conditions that the greater increase of good may come into one's life. Is based on Matthew, because Matthew represents the will. The will has been given over to the thought of accumulation by the imposition on external resources, the tax gatherer. In the regeneration, the will is converted and is taught by prayer and meditation how to stabilize the universal substance. Under the spiritual law, the will becomes a producer instead of a parasite. When the individual will has become a disciple of Christ, spiritual I am, that's what Christ is. The schooling of the man begins. Okay? The schooling of the man begins. I'm going to read that again. Under the spiritual law, the will becomes the producer instead of the parasite. When the individual will has become a disciple of the Christ, in other words, when your will, all right, when Matthew, okay, has become a follower of your higher self, in other words, you have to learn to master your faculties, right? Then, and only then, all right, only then the schooling of the man begins. All right. Let us go to the next one. Matthias, another disciple. Matthias, the man who was chosen as a disciple in the place of Judas, because when Judas, when Judas hung himself, okay, he was replaced with Matthias. All right. The name is equivalent to Matthew, the metaphysical of Matthias. Judas, Iscariot, pardon me, the disciple of Jesus or Yeshua, whom Matthias was chosen to replace, represents the acquisitive or life faculty in individual consciousness. Matthias signifies the lifting up of this faculty given wholly unto the Great Spirit, that it may aid in the individual laying hold of his higher spiritual attainments, even eternal life, through the power of his individual Christ, I am. So your individual Christ is I am. And when you utilize that disciple, which is Matthias, all right, when you utilize that disciple, all right, this is what happens. I'm going to read that again. Matthias signifies the lifting up of the faculties, all right, that it may aid in the individual laying hold of the higher self. So you have to tap into Matthias to lay hold of your higher self. Those are your faculties, all right, your spiritual attainments, even eternal life. You have to learn to utilize or tap into Matthias. Again, it's a faculty that's within you through the power of his indwelling Christ, which is the I am. All right. Let us go to Philip. We almost there. I think we got like two more, or three more. We got Philip. All right. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. All right. I know sometimes stuff like that may be a little bit boring, but it's important that we know these things. Okay. It's really important that we do. Okay. So we could truly learn to master ourselves. Because what we are being taught in this day and age, whether it may be in church, whether it may be in school, don't matter where it is, all that stuff is distractions. All that stuff is distractions. Keep that in mind. We got Philip, one of the 12 apostles of Yeshua, all right, the Christ. Philip is the evangelist, and he, you could find he's mentioned in Acts 6:5-8:5. Two other men by this name are also mentioned in Matthew 14:3 and Luke 3:1. Now we are going to talk about the metaphysical meaning of Matthew. What does he symbolize? All right, the allegory. The power of faculty is in man. The power faculty in man. It functions through the power center in the body, at the root of the tongue. Through Philip, the word is charged with power. And that's going to be found in John 6:7. Okay. Philip means a lover of horses. We gather from this that he represents the faculty in us that through love masters the vital forces. Hence we identify Philip as power. Philip exercises his power through the spiritual word, which is outwardly made manifest in speech. And that's in Acts 8:4, chapter 8, verse 4-8. He represents the power of the home missionary movement. Power is one branch of the great tree named life. That's in Genesis. The great tree named life is in Genesis. So the tree of life is life. Okay. The body of life, tree, is the spinal cord. Here we go again. The body of life, the tree, is the spinal cord. Okay. Over which the motor system or the motor system with branches to every part of the organism exercise its nervous energy. I'm going to read that again. So you truly know what all this is. The tree of life, the Garden of Eden, all that stuff is within us. All that stuff is within us, family. They made it external. They made it external. All right, let's read that again. Power is one branch of the great tree named life. In Genesis, the body of life, tree is the spinal cord. So the body of life, the tree that they're talking about in the garden is what? Your spinal cord. It ain't got nothing to do with a tree in Africa or a tree in the Americas or the Garden of Eden was in the Americas. No, it was in you. It was in you. The tree of life is in you. Your spinal cord. All right? Over which the motor system with branches to every part of the organism exercises its nervous energy. Okay? The power center in the throat controls all the vibratory energies of the organism. It is the open door between the formless and the formed, worlds of vibration pertaining to the expression of sound. Every word that goes forth receives its specific character from the power of faculty. When Jesus or Yeshua said, "The words that I have spoken unto you are spirit and are life," he meant that through the spoken word, he conveyed an inner spiritual quickening quality that would enter the mind of the recipient and awaken the inactive spirit and life. When the voice has united with the life of the soul, it takes on a sweetness and a depth that one feels and remembers. The voice that lacks this union is unpleasing and superficial. Voice culture may give one tone brilliancy, but there never was a great singer who lacked the soul contact. All right? There was never a great singer who lacks the soul contact. Why do you think we were called the soul children? Why do you think we sang soul? Why do you think we were the only people on earth who could sing a tune like we do? Man, can the church say amen? Y'all better recognize how great you are. I'm going to read that again. Voice culture may give one tone brilliancy. You hear that? Voice culture may give one tone brilliancy, but there never was a great singer who lacked the soul contact. To be a great singer, you got to be in contact with the soul. That's why we gave the word soul. More attractive still is the voice of one who has made union with the Spirit and can say with Yeshua, "Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away." You did. When we understand this power of the word, we have the key to the perpetuity of sacred writings. Once you understand the key to the words, family, you don't have to go looking all those books. No, it's within you. It's within us. It's within us. Everything outside of us is to prevent us from pulling what's inside of us. So we got to stop going without. We have to go within. That's the reason why our people are poor. That's the reason why our people are broke. That's the reason why our people perish for the lack of knowledge, because we are without. Look at the word in itself, without. But when you go within, that's when you start experiencing the fullness and the richness of life, because it is all within you. And once you are able to control, not control, but once you're able to understand that, once you're able to comprehend that, once you're able to manifest that, then everything else without, okay, or outside of you will be bountiful. But first, it has to be within self. That's right, brother. The kingdom of heaven is within. So why are these pastors out there and preachers and ministers trying to teach people that it's outside of themselves? We got to stop going without, brothers and sisters. We got to start, man, listen, you see, they have people taking these things literally, all right? And that's the problem. It is a major, major, major problem, okay? So we got some work to do, okay? Let us read some more. When we understand this power of the word, we have the key to perpetuity of the sacred writings. Remember, the sacred writings is in your codes. They're literally in your codes, okay? Your genetic codes. According to the tradition, all the writings of the Hebrew Bible were destroyed, but they were restored by Idris, who remembered in his heart and rewrote them. Okay? All the writings were destroyed, but one man remembered it. So we have the capability, we have the mental fortitude and capacity, okay? Because our minds are limitless. You have to stop subscribing to the notion that you could only use 10% of your mind. You see, it's the programming. I never subscribe to that. When I do my affirmations, I tap into unlimited resources because I know my mind is unlimited. This is a spell, a self-suggestion made by others that you subscribe to, telling you that you could only use 10% of your mind. But no, I don't do that. You have the power. And when you give it to people, then you become their slave. Okay? Modern discoveries in the realm of the mind explain in a measure this mystical statement. We know now that every word that man utters makes an imprint in the astral ethers, and where there is consciousness of God life in the mind of the speaker, these words become living identities and are what preserved throughout ages. I'm going to read that again. If you don't know the power of your words, that's why when people make all these suggestions, you see what I'm saying? That's why when we are without, because many of us don't know what life is worth. Many seek vanity when they already have. Absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Because here it is pretty much essentially, yeah, the same thing. We are without because we don't go within. You feel me? But here's what I'm saying here. Pay attention to this, right? I'm going to read that again. We know now that every word that man utters makes an imprint in the astral ethers. Every word that comes out of your mouth, it makes an imprint in the ethers. That's why when people say certain things, I rebuttal it right on the spot. But they say, oh, well, no, Chief, why you gotta be so, so literal? Why you know what I mean? No, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. I don't want to assume. So it's not, I don't want to be anal. No, it's because I tap into something and I know I have to be able to not allow people to cast spells on me, man. I can't do that. Typical example, I put a post on Facebook. This sister is like, she said something and I said, I'm always good. She put in the post, nah, you're not always good. Sometimes it's bad. I said, no, sis, I'm always good. Well, no, how could you be always good? So sometimes it could be perceived as bad. I said, no, sis, I'm always good. The sister went on a whole post with about 12 different comments to try to get me to accept, okay, her notion of me saying that I'm good into me saying that I'm not good, or sometimes I'm good. No, that is a suggestion coming from you. It's a spell, and I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to pull that into my realm. So know that every word that you utter, it makes an imprint in the ethers. And one thing you have to realize is this: when you put some negative energy out there, some soul or some spirit or some energy is going to gravitate to it. So when you're doing things to think you're harming Chief Kalinago, no, you are not. I am protected, man, because I already tapped into that intelligence. So nothing you say can affect me because I'm not giving you that power. That's why they get so mad. That's why they get so mad, because they're not pulling me into their realm. You feel what I'm saying? They're not pulling me into their realm. I'm not giving them that power. I don't even call their name in my mouth. because I do not cast my pearls to swines. Man, you got to know who you are, man. You are a God. And if you don't know how to be a God walking among men, then that's your problem. That's your problem. So the devil, okay, is fighting. Let's see how we could pull Chief into our realm. Let's see how we could pull Chief into our world, because you know what? Man, he's a God. He's moving straight forward. His eyes is on the prize. Let's see if we could pull him. Y'all cannot do that. I'm not even going to utter your name in my mouth because you're not worthy. You see, I get it. I get it. Because if I utter your name in my mouth, I'm giving you power. Because every word that I speak, it makes an imprint in the ethers. If I have to call your name in my mouth, I promise you, you're not going to like it. So I tell people, you know, we don't have to pick up guns and knives. We have the power. We have the power to either use our words, our thoughts, our intent for good or bad. You know what I mean? So people got to be careful, man. They got to be careful. They don't get this. Y'all got to be careful. But let's read this again. We know now that every word that man utters makes an imprint in the astral ethers. And where there is consciousness of God life in the mind of the speaker, his words become living identities and are preserved throughout the ages. You hear that? So whenever you put your words out there, wherever there's consciousness, your words are preserved. So what our people are going through as a people, those are words that were spoken generations ago, and it was preserved in the ethers for ages. And now we are in an age and we're trying to figure our way out of it. Well, I'm showing you how to change that around, so that when our generations come around, what we are speaking right now, it will be in the ethers. Where there is life, where there is the Great Spirit, it will manifest and will give our people life. And that's what I'm here to do, to give you life. Now you got free will. If you're going to allow Judas to take that away from you. All right? Anyone who develops sufficient spiritual power may enter this book of life within the cosmic mind and read out of its pages. The book of life is within the cosmic mind. People think it's a book that there's a sky daddy opening up a book to see where your name is at, to see if you made the register. No, it's a mental book within the cosmic mind. And your name is either written or written out of it based on your actions, based on your intent. You did. I'm going to read that again. Anyone who develops sufficient spiritual power may enter this book of life within the cosmic and the mind and read out of its pages. Man, so when you know your path and you know yourself and you step into a higher realm of consciousness, you cannot go back. Don't allow people to pull you back into that, because they're trying to prevent you from ascending. He says, do you believe that the prophecy that we are living is of man's doing or the Great Spirit? No, it's of our doing. It's of our doing. The Great Spirit cannot do bad. It's of our own will. We have free will. All right. And somewhere along the line, our people did something with our free will that wasn't pleasing to the Great Spirit. You see what I'm saying? For real. In the kingdom of the Great Spirit, they say God, but I'm saying Great Spirit. In the kingdom of the Great Spirit within man's consciousness, the power of the disciple Philip plays an important part in controlling the expression of all the many emotions, inspirations, and the thoughts of the soul. The voice is the most direct avenue of this expression. Brothers and sisters, your words, your voice, it has power. You're going to use it for one or two things: to give life or to give death. And you're only going to give death to the people who don't know who they are. But the people who know who they are, you can't give them death because they are immortal. When man has dominion over the emotions and feelings from which the original impulse has arisen, the power of love makes the voice rich, warm, and mellow. That's why I always give you love. One can set love free in the soul by cultivating a loving attitude towards everybody and everything. That's what they don't get. They don't understand that. How could Chief Kalinago love everybody? Because I get it. I get it. You see, I'm preparing my place in that book of life. And none of you, I'm going to repeat that, none of you could take that away. Because you see, this physical realm is not what matters to me. It's important, but it's not what matters to me. What matters to me is when I transition from here, all right, I want to be written in that cosmic book of life. That's what I'm preparing for. That's why I love. That's why I do what I do. But y'all going to learn that. One may gain strength by silently speaking words of strength to each of the disciples sitting on the 12 thrones within one. So like I said, you have to be able to talk to your disciples. Remember, the Christ, you are the 13th son. And your disciples, you have to be able to master them. Let them be fishers of men. Once you have mastered yourself, then you teach your disciples. You talk to your disciples, and now you become fishers of men. You go teach. Okay? That's it. Duplicate the process. Teach people how to become the Christ. Teach them how to master their disciples, and then they become fishers of men. All right? So I'm breaking down the allegory for y'all. Okay? The power swings open all the doors of the soul and body. When one feels vital and energetic, the voice is strong and the vibrant and brilliant. Man, I know the feeling. All right. When the soul is sorrowful, the body weakens, and the voice betrays its lack by its mournful intonation. One can feel the power of unity with the higher self through the vibrations of the power in the throat more quickly than any other way, because the throat chakra is where it's at. It sends out those vibrations. It could take you to the lowest frequency, or it could take you to the highest frequency. It's your choice. This reveals that ideas rule the man. Yeshua affirmed that all power or authority was given to him in heaven, and heaven is the mind. Okay? Like I tell people, heaven is the mind. It is not up there. What you see up there is a reflection of what's in your mind. So heaven is the mind. Okay? So a heaven on earth is a renewing of the mind. So we are in the age of Aquarius right now. We are going through the purging, the enlightenment. Then we're going to go to the age of Aquarius, which we're going to create the heaven on earth, which is what? A renewing of the mind. Woo. Was given to him in heaven the mind, and earth the body. So the body is the earth. Why do you think the body goes back to the soil? But the mind don't go back to the soil. The mind goes back what? Into the heavenly realm. Because the heavenly realm and the mind is synonymous. Okay? When Yeshua made his affirmation, he undoubtedly realized his innate spiritual dominion. When he consciously attuned his spiritual identity to the soul and the body, he was conscious of an influx of powers, and his hearers said that he taught them as one having authority and not as their scribes. In the process of regeneration, The consciousness of power ebbs and flows because the old and the new tides of thought act and react in the conscious and the subconscious realms of the mind. However, when a disciple realizes his unity with omnipotence, he is but little disturbed by the changes rather, that go on in his mind and his body. He knows that his spiritual dominion is established, and this firm conviction expresses itself in firm words. He realizes, men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. You got to know yourself, family. Know thyself. All right. Now, this is a whole lot more reading on Philip, man. Philip go on to a whole nother page. So y'all get the concept of what I'm talking about. You feel what I'm saying? So, all right, let me just read, probably a couple more paragraphs. All right. Yeshua said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away, because every word that you utter, it goes and it lingers into the ethers, into the astral realm. All right. And wherever there's life, God, consciousness, okay, it is literally taken into different ages. So be careful of the words that you speak. All right. Here is the evidence of spiritual power united with the idea of eternity. This union destroys the thoughts of years and of declining power. When awakened in those who have believed in age, will transform them. No great vocalist ever lived, but had inner spiritual power as an abiding conviction. This is strictly illustrated today in the indomitable persistency and the power with which a very famous opera star overcome big obstacles. In the early stages of her career, she was discouraged by opera singers. They told her that she could never make a success, but she persevered, my apologies, in her unconquerable spirit. She never gave up. And so she finally mastered every defect of her voice. This is a wonderful lesson to those who apparently are meeting discouragements in their ongoing, those who are tempted to succumb to circumstances and conditions in the body and environment. Take the words of Paul. None of these things move me, and make affirmations your spiritual supremacy mountain high. So brothers and sisters, everything that we are dealing with in the flesh, the circumstances, the obstacles, they are nothing but real. Don't allow them to move you. Continue to rise with the spirit, because you have the power to overcome. Okay? Know that. They can't stop you. All right? They can't stop you. Some metaphysical schools warn their students against the development of the power because they fear that it will be used in selfish ways. You see, you have to be careful. That's why it's such a challenge. I'm not going to say difficult, but it's such a challenge to attain that level of spirituality, because some people, once they attain it, they use it for the wrong things. Typical example, the so-called powers to be. What are they doing? They're using that knowledge to enslave the people, and they're not supposed to do that. But I'm exposing you to the information so you know how to free your mind. Because once you free your mind, they can't control you. They can't. Okay? It doubtless is true that the personal ego sometimes lays hold of the power faculty and uses it for selfish aggrandizement. And we can readily see how that is called the devil had origin. All right? Is because the devil was developed from what? Selfishness. All right? That faculty that came in and started to manifest greed. So the devil became a reality, right? To be successful in the use of the power of being, one must be obedient in exercising all the ideas that make man. If there is an assumption of a personal power, Satan falls as lightning from heaven and the adverse or the carnal mind goes to and fro in the earth. Casting out these demons of personality formed a large part of work of Yeshua. Those who follow him in the regeneration are confronted with similar states of mind and find it a necessity to cast out the great demon selfishness. Cast out the great demon selfishness, which claims to have power but is a liar and the father thereof. All right. So, like I said, I could read on and on, but I'm going to go to the next one. All right. We have the next one, which is Simon, Peter, and Simon of Zealot. It was two different Simons. Okay. Let me see where I got that at. Simon. I know I circled that. All right, you know what? I think I need to go back one. Give me a second here. I don't know how it ended up here. Simon, there we go. Okay. So we got Simon. And then we got two more. And then we're going to conclude. All right. What time is it? Almost 3:30. Here we go. Simon, the apostle of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, who was called Peter, a brother of Jesus, Simon the leper, another apostle of Jesus Christ, Simon the zealot, Luke 6:15, the father of Judas is Iscariot. John, you find out in John 6:71, a sorcerer who believed in Christ through Philip's teaching, Acts 8:9-24. Simon is the same name as Simeon. All right, so you hear that? A sorcerer was the follower of Jesus. That was a disciple. Okay, the metaphysical meaning of Simon. For the general significance of Simon, see Simeon. All right, strength. Andrew is clearly related to substance. Simon, which is spirit, we call faith. Peter, John 1 verse 4 and 41. Faith is the given substance to things hoped for. In Hebrew 11:1, with marginal note, what we hope for and mentally see as a possibility in our life comes into visibility, and we call it substance. In Mark 1:29-34, Yeshua coming into the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John in individual consciousness signifies the coming of the spiritual I am into a firm, unyielding, enduring consciousness of faith and strength, typified by Simon and Andrew, supported by the faculties of judgment and love, James and John. The results are a positive activity of these spiritual forces directed by the I am. Remember, the I am is always in power, right? Which brings about the healing, the redeeming work within the soul, represented by Simon's mother-in-law, who was healed by Yeshua. This living demonstration of the power of the Spirit in the soul consciousness awakens the soul to acknowledge of the power of the Spirit to free and make whole. All are sick. All thoughts of a demonic character are brought into Simon's door, the door of faith, and are healed. Simon the Canaanite, or Simon the Zealot, another of Yeshua's apostles, represents the zeal faculty in man. In the body, this faculty is located at the base of the brain. The house of Simon the leper represents a state of the body consciousness in which vital substance has been vitiated. Simon the sorcerer is the ambition of the personality to handle the power of the Spirit without paying the price through faith and love. The offer of money for spiritual power entails the thought of man's putting a price on the works of God. I'm going to read that again. Okay? Simon the sorcerer is the ambition of the personality to handle the power of the spirit without paying the price through faith and love. The offer of money for spiritual power entails the thought of man's putting a price on the works of God. The power of the Holy Spirit is obtained only by unselfish services. Therefore, personal power and glorification have neither part nor lot in the spiritual realm, the kingdom of heaven, which is the spiritual mind. So once again, I'm asking these pastors, where is your place in the spiritual realm when you are literally, all right, making the church a 501c3, a money-making business? So you have no place in the kingdom of the Great Spirit, all right? The only way to lose the bonds of the personality to make the heart right toward the Great Spirit, which they say God, is through repentance, diligent prayer and meditation, which transmute selfishness into unselfishness, personality into individuality. The law is, as I live, saith the Great Spirit, to me every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to the Great Spirit. Sin, muddy, they say sin, muddy Hebrew, hateful, passion. They're just giving examples of sin. All right. Rage, combat, a wilderness between Elam and Sinai, which the Israelites entered after they passed through the Red Sea out of Egypt and were on the way to Canaan. Exodus 16:11. B, an Egyptian city. Ezekiel 30:15, metaphysical. Oh, I was just reading what sin is. So we just did Simeon, I think was Simon. No, we just did Simon. We're doing the next one, which is Thaddeus. All right, Thaddeus. We are doing Thaddeus. We got one more after that, which is Thomas. Thaddeus, one of the 12 apostles of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Matthew 10:13, verse 3, in Luke 6:16, and in Acts 1:13. He's called Judas, the son, brother, Magin of James. Jude, who wrote the epistle of Jude, is the same person, the surname being Thaddeus and given name Jude or Judas. So Thaddeus is also Judas. The metaphysical meaning of Thaddeus represents the faculty of elimination in man. In the body, the eliminative center is situated in the lower part of the back. It is just as necessary as one should learn to let go of the thoughts, conditions, and substances in consciousness, body, and affairs when they have served their purpose and one no longer needs them, as is that one should lay hold of new ideas and new substances to meet one's daily requirements. Therefore, it is very necessary that the eliminative faculty be quickened in one, and a right balance between receiving and giving, laying hold and letting go, be established. A lot of people just like to receive, but they don't like to give. You see what I'm saying? They like to receive, but they don't like to give. That's why every day I give. Okay? I may not be able to give you money. Okay? But I give you something that's priceless. That's what it means to raise people from the dead. You raise them from the dead, a spiritual death. I'm bringing life to my people. So I'm pleased. My ancestors are pleased. All right? Love, tenderness, and fearlessness of the breast, of the heart, large-hearted, warm-hearted, overjoyed. No, that's not overjoyed. My fault. Overjoyed, yes, courageous, seem to be the denoting characteristics back of proper elimination for the mind and body. Fear, hate, revenge, and the like cause resistance and tension in the consciousness and the organism, thus shutting down elimination. So hear this, right? Thaddeus deals with the process of elimination, right? But when you have fear, you have hate, you have revenge, and the like, it causes resistance in the tension in the consciousness and in the organism, thus shutting down Thaddeus, which is elimination. Okay? While love puts away fear. When you love, you have no fear. That's why I have no fear, because I love. You feel me? That's what we should be doing. And is of a softening, releasing, freezing, freeing rather, not freezing, but freeing, balancing in nature. Okay, so that's Thaddeus, deals with elimination. Then we have, last but not least, we have Thomas. Okay, Thomas, one of the 12 disciples of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. This disciple is also called Didymus, not P. Diddy, but Didymus. John 14:5 and 21:2. The metaphysical of Thomas. Thomas is the disciple of Yeshua, who represents the understanding faculty in man. All right. Thomas deals with the comprehension aspect of man, the understanding, the inner standing. That's what you pull, all right, to get understanding. You reach out to Thomas, all right? Understanding and will function, or should function in unison. Each has its center of activity in the front brain, the forehead. That deals with the pineal gland area, right? Among the disciples of Yeshua, Thomas stood for the head, representing reason and intellectual perception. Yeshua did not ignore Thomas's demand for physical evidence of his identity, but respected it. Okay? He convinced Thomas by corporal evidence that there had been a body resurrection, and that it was not a ghost, not a ghost body that he saw, but the same body that had been crucified, as was evidenced by the wounds that Thomas saw and felt. In John 14:5, Thomas represents reason functioning in the realm of sense seeking to discern the things of the spirit through the outer signs, the truth contained in Yeshua's answer to Thomas. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light. No one cometh unto the Father but by me. Is that I am in man, or the Christ, in the open door to the kingdom of God, which is the great spirit. So at the ending of the day, when these pastors tell you, oh, well, the only way to go to the gates of, no one could come to the Father but Jesus, no one could go to the Father but Jesus, but through Jesus, right? Unless they go through Jesus. Well, they're telling the truth, but they're not telling the truth, right? Because the only way to the great spirit is through the Christ. And the Christ is in you. Your higher self is the Christ. So the only way to the great spirit, to God, is through you. That's it. It is not through anything that's outside of you. It's within you. I'm going to read that again. Where we have that at, right? Here we are. The truth contained in Yeshua answer to Thomas. I am the way, the truth, the life. No one cometh unto the Father but by me. Okay? It's a process. Is that, and what it means is that I am in man, or the Christ. You see what I'm saying? So they're saying that no one could come to the Father, which is the I am in you, but through me, through the physical man, all right? Ascending to the Christ, and then you tap into what? That universal mind, all right? Which they call the Father. I don't call it the Father, but that's what they call it, right? Which is thought, right? Here we go. So that's pretty much it, family. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make some notes when I do cover our next lesson on, the metaphysical aspect of who we are. I'm going to touch on Adam, because now we spoke, you see, I'm breaking things down, right? So we spoke of intelligence, we spoke about the genetic codes and how, you know, it is synonymous with their statutory codes. All right. We talk about the intelligence is not God. God came from intelligence. All right. So within intelligence, creation took place. All right. But the only way for creation to take place was it was supposed, you tap into intelligence and all the faculties and attributes, all right, to manifest creation. All right. Then man was created, right? And then now we are talking about the Christ man, and then we are talking about the physical man, which is symbolic for Christ and Jesus, right? So we have spoken about that. Next, we're going to talk about Adam. We're going to talk about Eve. All right. I want to touch on thought for a second because thought is synonymous, all right, with the mind. So I'm going to talk about that. Well, I'll talk about thought first. So we're going to talk about Adam. We're going to talk about Eve. We're going to talk about sin, what all that is. Couple of things we'll talk about, but for now, I think we good. We good. All right. So that pretty much concludes the piece on today. I hope you guys enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? Once again, man, you know who you truly are, family. Know who you are, okay? You know, don't allow, you know, the external, all right, ideologies, you know, hinder your growth. You see, because we spend so much time focusing on what's the perception of what this person wrote. What is the perception of what this person is saying? The truth is actually within us. And once you have mastered yourself, you know who you truly are, then all that stuff will be revealed to you. Okay? It will be. So learn how to tap into that intelligence. And that comes from, first, you got to make your affirmations, right? You got to make your affirmations. Not limiting yourself. You feel me? Not limiting yourself. You have to know. So get into your meditation, all right? Get into your affirmations, all right? And once you start doing that, man, do it with honesty, you know what I mean? And your mind will start to open up and you'll start seeing things from a whole different perspective, all right? So just wanted to share that information with you guys. And I definitely will do some more, you know, metaphysical, you know, lectures. So we get, like I said, I want to make sure that even people who are stuck on religion, because like I tell people, religion was an army. I already explained that to you guys, right, in videos. Okay. But I'll definitely touch on that too. So let me make a note. Let me make a note, religion. And then we're gonna, you know, we'll get into, you know, we'll get into stuff like, you know, Moses. We'll get into stuff like Israel, what all that stuff means. We'll get, because all that stuff pertains to us. All right. It's everything is within. Everything that's in that book, all right, it's within. Everything that's in the universe, it's within. So once you have a true understanding of, you know, yourself within and who you truly are, then that's when the world is starting to make sense to you. Okay? But you could never have a true understanding of the world if you cannot have a true understanding of yourself. You have to master self first. You have to know self. You have to know that you are the Christ. All right? Or, well, you have the potential to be the Christ because it's already in you. You just have to awaken the Christ. And you cannot do that with hate. You cannot do that with animosity. You cannot do that with negative jealousy, because jealousy could also be positive. All right? So that's a possibility. But you cannot have all these negative attributes and expect to manifest the Christ in you. It's impossible. Okay? So love is where it's at. Okay? So that's it for me today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your continuation. I don't know if I'll do another build later today. If I do, I'm definitely gonna, like I said, it will be strictly on metaphysical stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna take a break for a couple of hours. Like I said, you know, I already paid for a subscription for the year for this, so we good. Literally, I could do like 47 videos a day, you know what I mean, and bring information to you. So we absolutely good. Somebody just supported my my Cash App. So let me just see who it is so I could give them a shout out and a thank you. Okay. Let me see. I don't have to call out the name, but I just want to acknowledge them, for supporting. All right. Stokedale. Just want to say thank you, you know what I mean, for supporting the Cash App. I'm not going to call that your information, but Stokedale, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. So brothers and sisters, enjoy the rest of your continuation. Like I said, most likely I'll probably do another build, but I just wanted to come share some things with y'all and let y'all know, man, listen, we could step into a higher level of thinking, a higher level of consciousness only if we so choose to. All right. Let us not allow the people around us to keep us down. Let us not allow them to keep us where they want us to be. You feel me? Let us not do that. But I'm gonna break down a lot of things for y'all, man. I'm gonna break down Noah, you know what I mean? What all that means. I'm gonna break everything down. So like I said, most likely because I'm excited, hype, I'm still hyped. I might do a second video, but I'll probably be like in about 3 or 4 hours. Because it take a lot of energy out of me. So I'm gonna relax myself, rejuvenate. I'm gonna go outside, see if the sun is out, get a little sun, do a little sun gazing. If it's out, if not, then I'll just chill my mind for a little bit, and then I'll come back and drop some more information, for you guys. So thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, you guys are absolutely welcome, man. Like I said, that's what I love to do. I love to give. All right. I love to give, and that's just my way of giving. All right, onto you. So thank you. All right, peace and love, and we'll talk in a few.